Sorry guys, we just got the old boot. I'll just see if we can get Dan back on. Here he is. Hey, sorry, it kicks
Back.
you off after like doesn't gives you like a mini warning, and then you're supposed to have some time, and then it goes.
Really?
Yeah, it
They
gives
do
you
that?
like, yeah, it gives you like, and it gives you like 60 minutes, but it usually like it'll give you a warning,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh cool, I've got like 2 minutes or whatever, and then all of a sudden it'll go, and you're gone, and you're like, hey man,
Fascinating.
brutal. Um,
Fascinating. Interesting
yeah.
choice.
But as yeah, what I was saying is yeah, the drama kids at my school were those annoying like people who wanted to do Annie and fucking they were like they were popular kids mostly.
Well,
Like
I was also in Annie, so I was also in Annie. Although
no, but I
I
mean
was
it wasn't filled with it wasn't filled with goths and weirdos and it was all popular kids or like kind of like nerdy type kids, but the very like loud, kind of Annie types. It was
there's a type.
very
There's a
yeah, but
type.
there definitely was. It was not a where I grew up. It wasn't a like it wasn't cool, weird, goth, whatever kids. It was just like all these, every annoying type you can imagine put
Yeah.
together, and it was like
Yeah, I just remember that time as being really being the time where I was encouraged to be kind of creative and weird. And I remember, um, I remember, I can't remember if it was my freshman or sophomore year or something, but they like one of the students did like an adaptation of Dracula.
oh wow,
And Tay, who's still one of my best friends today, who is actually Enemies List released his project, which is called Frustrator, which is this incredible kind of electronic project. It's just really amazing. And he was the first person I met that he was in this band Fifth Column, and he was recording music on his computer. It was the first time I'd ever heard. I didn't know you could do that. It was like the first time I'd ever seen anyone do it. And this was very early, right? This is like I graduated in '99, so it was kind of early for that kind of stuff. And they were just making this weird ass music. It was like, but it was cool, but it was so weird. And Tay did like the soundtrack for the Dracula play, and their cast party was like this drunken orgy weird shit where people are like, and I just remember being like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to do whatever
yeah,
this is what I want to do. And it's we were lucky to have, everyone's got these, if you're lucky enough to have these teachers in your life that really kind of encourage that side of you. And I remember the English teacher who ran the drama club, this lady, Miss Piltz, she really was like, she was like, you're a high school drama club, but you're making art. So go and make art and like be really serious about it and take it seriously and really, push the boundaries a little bit of what people will accept. And it's just so cool to have an adult in your life that just lets you do that. And look, like almost everything we did was terrible, but we didn't know that. And that's just that thing that gets you started and gets you to believe that you can do that, right? It is absolutely wonderful. She was such a wonderful woman. I really owe her a lot
it
for
sounds like
sure.
you have someone from your school because they're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
her,
Miss Peltz. I
Mrs. Piltz.
forgot about her. Yeah, yeah. She's the best to this day.
Mm.
Still such a lovely lady. And I remember, um, God bless her. I remember anybody that had like a Spanish last name in our class. She would roll those R's so fucking hard, even though she's going out of her way to like really lean into the accent for just that word, to like let everybody know that, she gets it. And,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just, you know, that kind of stuff was what made me want to teach. And it's still like, I do a lot of teaching in my job today. And Um, it's what I like about it, right? It's
Hmm.
like just finding somebody and just kind of people think they need permission. Clearly they don't, but we all kind of intuitively feel like we should get permission from somebody. And
Yeah.
it's really fun to just be the person that says, yeah, here's the permission. Like, go fuck shit up. It's going to
Go
be
do it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with my teachers when I was growing up.
Yeah. It's
Like not
interesting, right?
um I find it weird, like kind of the generations now don't respect teachers and much at all. And you know, when I was growing up, teachers to me were like almost gods. You know, they were
Mm.
like godlike to me. You know, and yeah, you know, or every English teacher I've ever had was like, you know, I thought they were like this incredible person, you know what I mean? And I had like literature, like, you know, I had really good relationships with my English teachers, with like literature teachers, you know, arts teachers. I did studio arts and things. And, you
Yeah.
know, I'd talk on the phone with that teacher and like, you know, and things like that. And I had a psychology teacher who taught French, and she was also French and very hard, like, a very hard ass woman.
See,
But
I'm immediately like, so you have a French psychology teacher? It sounds like the coolest thing. I'm
oh,
like, I
she
want
was,
to, yeah,
yeah, she was hard ass, right? She was really
yeah.
hard, and she frightened people, like, um, but I had a charisma that she couldn't resist, and yeah, I was really good at my work, and
Right.
you know, so I'd talk a lot. I talked all the time in class, and she'd be like, Renee, come on now, you know, like,
Yeah.
why are you working on the whatever? And I'd be like, I've done it.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, what? And she's okay. Have you done this? What about the assignment? Done it.
Yeah.
Did it 2 days ago.
Did it.
And I just
I
stare
read
at her.
ahead. I
Just
read ahead. She's
yeah.
like, you read ahead?
I was that fucking nerd, right? And she would be like, she'd
Yeah.
be like, she'd just go, just sit and read. Like she just gets so flustered because she'd be like, just sit and read
Sit
then,
and
like because
read.
she just didn't know.
Take a
And
take a book out of your bag and read it.
yeah, and I would do things like yeah, because she was hard and she didn't, you know, it was hard to crack her. And yeah, I remember like a specific time where I was like, you know, I was like, I'm gonna do this, you know. Like sometimes I had a little bit of oomph in me, you know, and sometimes I was a bit like withdrawn and, you know, didn't. But then I yeah, I just real quiet because I had nothing to do. I'd done everything, so I was real
Right.
quiet, and I just started singing Jolene, real quiet, like real quiet, right? And I was singing it just real quiet until like people around me started like
It's so
joining in.
irritating.
Yeah. So till people started like joining in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I could see her at her desk, like looking down and like
Yeah.
smirking, like just trying so hard not to laugh and not to get
Right.
involved. And you know, and then all of a sudden it was getting louder, you know, and the class was sat like this sort of thing, and then it rose, and then all of a sudden it got louder, and everyone was singing Jolene, and then she just ended up like just started laughing. She looked up and
Yeah.
she was just like, Renee, there is nobody else like you.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's
And she was
awesome.
just like, and it's like, and everyone was laughing. It was just too funny. And then it was like, you know, we moved on. But yeah, I was just like a peculiar person, you know, growing up.
And
And I think my teachers liked that because it was like,
yeah.
they couldn't fault me for being odd or talking a lot or whatever because I'd always done my work and I got great
Yeah.
grades. So it was like, you know, they were just like, you're so infuriating because I can't tell you off for anything
Right.
because you've done nothing wrong.
You
Like,
did the thing I
really.
asked you to do, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And like those kind of things. And so yeah, and I just, yeah, I really loved that. And then when I was coming towards the end of high school, I wanted to be a professor. I was like, I want to be a professor,
Yeah.
you know? And like for ages, I was like, I want to be a professor, you know? Um, I think I would have been that quirky, fucking weird professor that people would just be like, God, she's little, you know?
Well, it's a job that gives you a lot of room for personal expression, right?
Yeah,
Or at
yeah.
least it often does.
Mm,
I think about it all the time because Tim is a teacher.
Mhm.
And I would give, I've thought about it. I'm like, how much money would I give to be able to go, like, like de-age myself and take Tim's class? And I think the answer is like almost an infinite amount of money would I give for that. You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
I just think it's
Is it
like,
a high school class or a
it is, I think,
university?
yeah, a high school class. Yeah,
Just go.
32. Yeah, just show up.
Just go and sit in there
It's
and be
like,
like, I'm just here to audit the
backwards hat.
class.
It's kind
Yeah,
of a,
yeah.
undercover cop sort of scenario. I'm like, what's up, fellow teens? I'm here to rap. But it's just, there are certain people that just, they don't really fit in a lot of different places, and they
Mm.
have a lot of kind of experience to share, and it's just fun to be a part of that process. I mean, there are a lot of teachers that are absolutely god awful, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah, tell me.
Um,
Yeah, I know.
yeah. Oh
They
no, this is
became,
Bella down here. I don't know if you can see Bella.
oh,
It's Bella.
yep, I can
What's up,
see it.
Bella? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, like there is a lot of terrible teachers, and that bums me out a lot because there was like a period here. I don't know whether the same thing happened in America, but there was a period here where it was like, all these people got Bachelor of Arts degrees and didn't know what the fuck they were going to do, like, because they couldn't
Mm,
get a job with that. You know what I mean? And so it's like, they're basically getting a degree in humanities, like, in like English and blah blah type subjects. And I was
right,
like, you can't get a job with that. So the next step, would be usually their parents would be like, well, you need to do a fourth year of teaching so that you can do that. And a lot of people would do it and they didn't want to. They just did it,
right.
you know,
Doing
and
it to
that's
do it.
just so that they could get a job, or whatever, until they could do whatever they wanted to do. And so you end up then with this whole generation of teachers that are really shit and don't want to be there. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
they kind of ruin it for the ones that are amazing and like really believe in what they're doing.
yeah, yeah.
And teachers get paid shit. I know they get paid shit here, and I'm sure they probably get paid shit in America as well. And I
We don't have any problems in America, so teachers are very highly paid here. As you know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Sure, they get paid like loaded.
It's like it's on par with like basketball stars and stuff like that. Um, I don't know, it's just, it's a capitalist democracy. It's just what happens naturally,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's weird. And so why didn't you pursue teaching, continuing like doing teaching history?
Uh, well, a bunch of reasons. I mean, one was, looking back on it, um, I had I'd been working in public schools for a while, so I'd probably been working in public schools for 6 to 8 years, something like that,
Hmm.
before I did my student teaching. And I had a very rough student teaching experience in the same school I'd been working in.
Yeah.
And I think, looking back on it, you know, much older now, I think I just emotionally was not ready. I,
Mm.
it's been a big struggle for me in my life, this kind of tendency I have to really want to please people, and I really want people to like me, and I've always been very uncomfortable with confrontation and
Mm.
conflict. And I was teaching, um, in a good school, but a school that had some rough tendencies to it. And I think a lot of kids, I don't know if this is the case everywhere, but like with the student
Yeah.
teachers, you kind of got rougher classes in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
I think
was
it's
like
like breaking you in.
a little bit, and just like, the
Mm.
teachers that have been there forever, they kind of picked the classes or got the classes that they wanted, more
Mm.
more often, which tended to be kind of higher achieving classes or whatever, however, whatever you want to put your finger on for the reason. But I think those kids really sensed that in me, and kind of exploited it. And I didn't handle it well. And as an adult and as a father, I realize now that, like, I went in there wanting, I so deeply wanted to be the cool teacher that everybody loved, right?
Yeah.
And you can't really approach it. You can't approach it that way. It doesn't
Mm.
work that way. It's not good for the kids. It certainly wasn't good for me. And so I was having this really rough experience. And then at the same time, I had started freelancing and started working on my own, um, just kind of doing some random marketing stuff and, just building some websites and stuff like that. And I just
Hmm.
realized that I was making as much freelancing as I would full time as a teacher.
As a teacher, yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, I was just like, well, I'm gonna make the jump and see if I can make this work.
Hmm.
And I miss teaching a lot. I miss the classroom a lot. I miss working with young people a lot. Those are things that, um, when I turned 40, which is this year, I really decided like I'm gonna make an effort to kind of bring something like that back into my life, which is kind of like when I started doing No Less Than, which is the blog that I've been writing and
Yes.
the weekly emails that I've been doing and all this stuff.
Yep.
It was partially to say, okay, like where can I find, where can I satisfy this urge to like kind of have some kind of like not really teaching, not really mentorship, but just I want to share as much as I can in a way that's not specifically like, hey, you paid me a bunch of money and now I'm going to do X, Y, Z, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, in a way, it's to kind of get a lot of that back because I certainly miss it. But I love what I do now, and having worked for myself for so long at this point, you very quickly just become unemployable. Like I'm an unemployable mess. If I didn't work for myself, I'd be fired, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Especially because you get
it's worked
used
out.
to like listening to yourself. And then when people start telling you, you got to do this by this way and this rules and blah, sometimes
Right.
that can be hard if you've been doing freelance for a long time.
Yeah,
And
it's like
suddenly someone's trying to impose rules on you and you're like, don't
yeah,
wanna.
or like like this week I've been like on fire. I've been like super productive. Last week I wasn't productive at all. So but we're working at like 11 o'clock. I'd be like, I'm done, and just leave.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I'm used to that at that point. The flip side of it is, you know, there's this kind of feeling, which is sometimes true, sometimes not, that it's like, hey, if you don't produce, you don't eat. It's no one's
Yeah.
sending you a paycheck at the end of the week if you don't make it happen. And
Yeah.
so there's a certain amount of anxiety that comes along with that.
Hmm.
But at this point in my life, I'd just rather be in control of my own anxiety than have somebody else's anxiety to deal with, right? And so
Yeah.
it works for me. I don't think it's for everybody, but I'm a big believer in, um, I'm a big believer that no matter what you're good at,
Hmm.
and no matter what you like, there's some intersection of those things where you can get paid to do it. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that could work for themselves. They just need some kind of entry point to it. And but I think it's easier than a lot of people think it is. If I could do it, other people can do it. This is how I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Dan Barrett did it. It's doable.
Yeah. Holy shit. Obviously, I can do
This
it.
guy can't remember his keys and shit.
No, yeah, exactly. It's not and it's like I've said this before, but it's like I didn't go to school for anything I do for work. I didn't have any particular background in it. I'm not particularly good at it. What I am good at, it's very similarly to what we were talking about with Have a Nice Life and the different musical projects, is I'm very good at studying. I'm very good at pulling different sources together and putting it together in an interesting way.
Hmm.
And that's essentially all I do every day. It's like what I do for work, and it's what I do at No Less Than. It's I'm trying to pull different sources together and pull out a theme and talk about that theme. It's all the stuff that I do looks very different on the outside, but to me it
Hmm.
all feels like the same basic muscle. It's
Yeah.
the
Well,
same
it's like
basic thing.
I think I think I spoke to you briefly. We're talking about um, Google AdWords or whatever, and it's like
Mm.
you know this shit like just in and out. I think and I'm like, to me, like I know it and then I forget it, and I know it and I forget it. I feel like I
Yeah.
constantly need to refresh myself on it. I like organic marketing much more than I like paid marketing. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yep.
And so I'm always like, yeah, I like watching your, like, when you have your little videos and things and stuff, because I'm always like trying to just gain like a thing, like make it stick in here, because like
Yeah.
when I'm doing it and when I'm like, doing stuff on it, I know exactly what's happening. But then if I sit down and start talking, if someone asks me a question about it, I'm like, fuck, I don't know. But I
Yeah.
know. It's like I've done courses on it. I've fucking got certificates in it, but like still, like, it's like something that I'm like, oh, like, do you have to talk about that? Like,
Yeah, I think, well, yeah, and I think, you know what I think it is? Because literally, at around like, I can't remember when it was, maybe March of this year or whatever, I put out like a course, right? And the whole reason that I put it out is it's connected to what you're talking about. And I think what the solution has been for me anyway, which is that I know for a fact, if I want to really learn something and I want to get good at it, I have to teach it, right? So
right.
I will set myself up to teach things I don't even know yet. Like I'll put myself on the hook and be like, I'm teaching a thing, I'm doing a course, pay me money to be in it. And like I know in my head, I'm like, I haven't really figured it out yet. But
Mm-hmm.
it's through the process of teaching it and hanging everything together on kind of a lattice work of mental models and figuring out how the pieces fit together and structuring it how, in order to communicate it. That's what sets it in for me. So like no less than or better questions, which is the weekly email. The reason that I set those things up is I'm like, I want to accelerate my own pace of learning. And I know for a
Mm-hmm.
fact that if I want to do that, I have to teach something. So,
Yeah.
set myself up. So it's like every week I have to show up. Wednesday at 6 is when the email goes out, which means by Wednesday at 6 a.m., I have to have something finished. I have to have something written, which means I have to start doing the research before then, which means I need to, blah, blah, blah. It kind of all fits together.
Together, yeah.
Yeah, and so when the year started, I was like, I really want to figure out what my process of learning is. That's what ended up being the course, which is called I called it The Art of Mastery, which is a title I had before the course was finished. But it's a huge part of it is, no matter what you're trying to master or get good at, whether it's music or it's art or it's relationships or anything that you are trying to get good at, a huge part of the process both for you and for the world around you is teaching what you are learning. And you can teach it while you learn it. I think we have this conception that I have to be really good at it in order to teach it, but you don't. Like one of the things that a really early business mentor told me that was a really freeing thing to kind of learn is, he said, you just need to be one step ahead of the person you're helping. You don't need to be all the way there. You just
Mm-hmm.
need to know more than they do, which is nothing by default, right? So it's like if you are right at the beginning, you teach the stuff that you know to people that know even less than that. And you don't
Yeah.
have to say like I'm the world's best
Yeah,
XYZ,
yeah, yeah.
and through the process of teaching it, what ends up happening is you start developing your own frameworks and your own mental models for how you think about things and how you combine things. And when you do that, you develop this language that is uniquely yours, and this like set of tools, like these tools in the toolbox that are uniquely yours or that you use in a unique way. And I'm very, very passionate about getting more people to do that. Even if it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, hey, you do a Facebook Live or you put a post here or you do a blog post, you send an email. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but the process of teaching not only does it helps people who want to do what you can do, it makes your own craft so much better and
Mm-hmm.
so much clearer, so much stronger. It's been a real transformative kind of project for me this year, and yeah, it's been really fun, and man, I feel like I'm so much smarter than I was when I started the year, which has been a really fun experience. So yeah,
Yeah. 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 I think that's why, like I think that's why I've had such I guess, an admiration for you, because I've because you work on all these things, and you kind of just the way that you think and everything, and then add
Hmm.
all this amazing music stuff to it, and you know, that kind of thing. And I'm just like, this person is, whilst you know yourself are like, oh, I'm shit. It's like, it's, you know, it's like you've got this like intellect and this kind of like vision that like you don't see, which
Hmm.
a lot of artists and musicians don't see it often themselves. I think that's a
Yeah.
really good humbling quality, that you're not like, I'm the shit. You know, I'm the shit, and I know I write good shit, and this is the shit. Because sometimes that's really annoying, you know, and you're just like,
Yeah.
be a human, you know, like, and you know, humans doubt it. You put out an album and you go, I'm gonna this is gonna tank. You know, what am I gonna
Yeah.
do if every person's like, this is a piece of shit? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're
Mm.
being honest. Like, you're like, that's how I, you know, I'm having that slight anxiety. Like, what happens if it's a bop like a fucking tanks? Like,
Hmm.
you know, and I feel like a lot of musicians don't even address that, because they're like, no, it's gonna be brilliant. It's gonna be brilliant, you know, and
Yeah.
like da da da. They're stuck in this kind of like thing where they need to keep like patting themselves on the back, you know, and like
Hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
thing, which is unhealthy. But I can see that you know, yeah, you're very humble and like very modest about what you
I'm
do.
the most modest. I'm the
Yeah,
most humble.
yeah,
So humble.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
and
everybody thinks their stuff sucks, and the people who say that their stuff is amazing have the lowest self-esteem of anybody, you know,
yeah,
because
that's what I
they can't
mean.
admit, yeah, they can't
Yeah,
admit it.
it's like
So, yeah.
it's repression and like denial. They're like, you know, they don't want to, you know, it's the fear of failure. So it's like, oh
Yeah.
no,
I
it's great. You know, this
well,
is the best to me. You know.
it's so fascinating. I had someone message me recently on Instagram, and they're like, "Can you help me with mixing? Like my mixes is so bad, and your mixes sound so great." And I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about? Her mixes are garbage. I know nothing about mixing. I know it's bad. Like it's objectively bad."
Yeah,
And it's so interesting because it's like, one, you only ever hear your own flaws. You are
exactly.
so aware of, creative people have this amazing gift where they can imagine something that doesn't exist, and the thing in your head that you imagine is so great, and it's so cool, and it's insightful, and you have this ideal in your head, and it's the process of getting it from your head out into the real world that fucks it all up. So no matter how good you are at your craft, the thing that comes out never matches the thing
Yeah,
it could have been in your head, right? And so you're the only one who ever saw the thing in your head. And so it's nowhere near as good as it should be.
yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
else just hears it as it actually is. And so,
Hmm.
it's people get so wrapped up in, I suck at this or I'm bad at this. And I'm like, yeah, it's very possible you suck at this, right? It's very possible. But no one is ever going to hear it the way that you hear it. And
Yeah, yeah,
it takes a long time to internalize that. My
yeah.
my really dear friend Val, who played guitar in pieces and plays now in this band Bare Hands, who are amazing, and is one of the best musicians I know. Really accomplished touring musician. Played really big shows. He played arenas recently, and and I always want to say that they opened for Imagine Dragons. That's not who it was, but I can never remember. But it's some band, that I always would say they opened for Imagine Dragons. But anyway,
Yeah.
but I remember playing shows with him, and we would get off stage, and someone would come up to him and say, "Hey, great set." And he would always say like, "Oh, really? Because like, we kind of fucked it up here, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We suck tonight, right?" And you could just see like the light go out of that other person's eyeballs, because they're like, "Oh, okay, you got shit on this person," and it really drove home for me that like the criticisms you hear in your head, you can take those for what's worth. You can do something with them, but you
Yeah.
don't need to express them to people because
Yeah.
people have their own relationship with your stuff and they hear it in a very different way, and you don't want to play that down or make them feel
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
for it.
exactly. Like you
21
see,
Pilots, yeah.
yeah, that's the
After,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll remember it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Imagine Dragons is funnier, so there you go.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's that thing, like, because I mean, every artist I think struggles with that, with the impossible vision in your brain and trying to figure out how to execute that, and sometimes you can never execute it 100% to what's in
Yeah.
here. Like you
Hmm.
just can't. Like, it's like when you see, it's like when you have a really intricate dream and you're
Hmm.
like, you're trying to remember those details of how epic and bloody great it
Right.
was. And you're like, that would be the best movie. You know what I mean? And like, and
Yeah.
then you can't remember it for shit. And you're like, God, that was amazing. Like, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost like that. Like it's here and everything's there, but it's like trying to get that out in the same format as
Hmm.
you're envisaging is hard. And it
Yeah.
never kind of is exactly that way. So when artists finish something, they're comparing it to what they saw and hear, and not what
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Absolutely.
And then the fans are, yeah, obviously they haven't seen this, so looking at that, looking at it, going, this is the best thing ever. What is this dude like banging on about? Like kind of thing.
Yeah. They hear you hear your own version of it, right? You hear
Mm.
your own version of it that it's related to how when it was and how you heard it and the situation there. And it's, I find this a lot with books where, and it's true, definitely true of music, but at least in my life recently, I've noticed this most with books where, I'll pick up a book and I'll read it and I just cannot get into it. I can't really appreciate it. It's difficult to move through. And you put it down and you come back to it, a year later or whenever it is, and it just clicks and it's amazing and you tear through it. And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and it's so interesting that it's just, you're changing all the time and you barely notice it, but that there's all this stuff happening underneath the surface. It's interesting and kind of comes into play when you appreciate things or not. And
Hmm.
so, it's like there's a lot of people who, they love Death Consciousness and they didn't like Unnatural World. And there's a lot of people who like listen to Unnatural World first and like that better.
Hmm.
And, there's a lot of people that, like Sea of Worry. And there were a lot of people that the Sea of Worry, they're like, this isn't really for me. It doesn't, it, and and that's all, it's all fine, right?
Mm.
It's like, it's all totally okay. Not everybody has to like everything. And it would be uncanny if like every single record hit for you exactly the same way, right? Because you're
Yeah.
constantly changing and you're different, and you know the best you can do as a creative person is just try to say like, well, this resonates with me in the moment. And
Yeah.
there's always going to be a group of people that match that, right? There's
Yeah. Yeah.
always going to
Yeah.
be there's going to be somebody who's 38 that listens to the Sea of Worry, and it's going to click for them in a way that it wouldn't have clicked for me. It's not going to click for me now, or it wouldn't have clicked for me at 25 or whatever. And
Yeah.
that's, I think we've been very lucky that we have so many people that kind of follow all our different projects, and people that, um, I have people that, love Have a Nice Life, so they listen to Black Wing. I like have people message me and they'll be like, I didn't realize you were in both bands. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
well, that's fun because surprise, I am, or whatever, right? And
Yeah. I remember
yeah.
my old housemate had she likes Have a Nice Life, and she had a Black Wing record,
Mm,
and she loved that record. And I said to her, you know that Black Wing is Have a Nice Life, Black Wing, like it's the same dude. And she
mm.
was like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's the same dude, man.
Yeah.
Same dude.
All the bands on Flenser are secretly just me.
They're just you, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm
I was
both
like,
dudes in street sex and all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, they're actually coming on. I'm announcing that later today. You just
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. They
I'm
they
very
are
I'm
awesome.
very excited about that. So yeah, I'm
They're a
announcing that
band that
later.
I listen to that I'm like, it's fascinating to me that like I'll listen to a band like that and I'd be like, see, this is a band that's actually good. And I'm like, I'm like, I just don't understand how I am on the same label as these
As
people who
them.
can clearly play their instruments and understand what they're doing. You know what I mean? And it's like, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. We'll put it that way. But
Yeah.
they're excellent. That's going to
And,
be
and
fascinating.
you're both very different. You're
Yeah,
comparing yourself to something that's very different. You're both very different,
yeah.
as
See, they
well.
don't. I want to sound like that, and it just I fuck it up, and it sounds like what it sounds like. And so I'm like, yeah, I totally meant to do it this way and not that way. Totally,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
And
great.
like I was gonna say, like, and for you, like growing up and everything, like what were you listening to? What was your go-to?
I mean,
Were you sad little gothy guy?
yeah. Well, there was definitely a switch. And it's a very specific moment in time where we were my dad and my grandpa were going to drive me and my brothers, Will and Andrew, to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Coopersville. So and I remember my dad was like, well, you can go to Record Express, which was the record store near us at the time. I think in Manchester, actually. This is someone
Yeah.
from here in Manchester. So there was a Record Express in Manchester, and they took us down there and said you could buy one tape. Everybody can buy one tape. And so we just
Mhm.
went in and we're picking tapes. And I did not really listen to music at the time. I think I had like a DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince tape or something. And
Tell me it was the boom, boom, boom. That one, like the what do you fuck? The
I think
amazing.
I
Was it
want
that
to
one?
say it was the one with Parents Just Don't Understand on it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah.
can't really remember at this point, but
I love Boom Shake the Room. I don't know why. I just love
oh, I
that.
think that's
Tick,
later. I think
tick,
that's
tick,
later.
tick, boom. Like I don't
Uh,
know why. I remember it from high school. Like not even my style of music, but there was some reason I just loved it. I think it was because I watched The Fresh Prince a lot.
yeah, yeah.
And I
I
just
mean,
thought it was great.
he's a fascinating individual. So
And you
yeah,
knew
so
it.
we're in this record store. We're walking around. We're picking tapes, and I picked Nirvana Nevermind. That was my
Mhm.
record, and I remember getting into the car. And I don't know if this is true, but my memory is I went in the back seat and I like laid down in the back seat, and I had a Sony Walkman, so I put on the Walkman, and I'm like, well, let's listen to this album. And I like basically listened to it nonstop for like the 3 hour drive to Coopersville and got out of the car a different person than I went in. I
Mhm.
basically
Mhm.
got out of the car and my dad was like, how'd you like the ride, son? And I was like, fuck you, old man, just like smash the window. And I just I just remember like, metamorphosing almost immediately. And
Yeah.
it really, really from there, I mean, my musical habits as a kid were very rooted in my group of friends and local shows. So I went to
Mhm.
tons of local shows. My friends listened to a lot of ska, a lot of hardcore. That was what was being played around us
Played
at the
around.
time.
Mhm.
So that was really what I listened to. And when I went to college was really the first time that I got exposed to bands like Joy Division and Sisters of Mercy. Like Tim was the one that showed me Sisters of Mercy. Um,
Yeah. Last
and bands.
Corrosion. Last
Yes. Oh
Corrosion.
yeah. Oh my God. Like
Temple
it's
of
it's
Love.
like I just went
I
down
can't
like
get enough.
well, they're amazing, and it's like I just went back and I was on YouTube. They have a bunch of their music videos and watching their
Yeah.
music videos. I'm like, this shit is insane. It's
Yeah.
literally it makes no sense. I'm like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're walking around a factory with a stick and you don't have any shirt on, and I'm like, there's no way that this is like safe. But anyway, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's those bands
The
had a
80s
huge
had a
influence.
whole other.
The
Feel
whole
Goods in the
thing.
80s was totally different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I actively as a kid growing up very influenced by hardcore bands, I was like keyboards are for losers. All keyboard music sucks because I was like all keyboard music is techno. That's what I
yeah.
thought.
Oh, that's
And
that.
so
I got to that point too when I was really heavy into hardcore. I was like, fucking
yeah,
techno
it's
shit. I
it's
don't want to hear
purely
everything was techno. And it was like, and then you get exposed and you
right.
realize that actually this isn't techno at all. I've been so stupid and
Right.
blinded by this.
Yes, for
Um,
me it was very clearly like I was listening to Joy Division, and then you listen to New Order, and then you're like, oh shit, and then it's like then it's all over, right? And then
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, then you're listening to fucking Flock of Seagulls and stuff like that. So
yeah, yeah,
it's been a very, like I always say, like Tim is the one with the really encyclopedic musical knowledge. Like Tim knows
yeah,
every band. Tim has like every CD and tape he's
yeah,
like
yeah,
ever had. He still has, and he
yeah,
really does homework on, like, he really wants to
yeah,
understand like the
everything.
labels and the people involved and jazz and all these things. And I'm very jealous of that in many ways.
Hmm.
And in a lot of ways, my musical knowledge has huge holes in it. It's like there are bands that I just have never really ever listened to or heard that I know for a fact I should listen to and appreciate, right? And
Hmm.
I haven't. So it's one of those things where I'm running relatively low on battery. But in
Oh,
any
that's all right.
case, it's one of those
Yeah,
things that I view as a personal flaw that I just
yeah.
haven't taken the time to fix. Yeah.
You can always do that though. Like I try to go back and listen to other things and listen while I'm doing other stuff, like cooking dinner, put something on that I like,
Yeah.
and like try to use moments where I'm doing menial crap stuff and
Yeah.
to click into that stuff. But like, I went through that early, like the rock stage when I was a teenager, and then I
Hmm.
kind of went. I was all about grunge. I like that story you said about, but never mind. Like me and my friend, I was talking to a very close friend of mine, just yesterday about this, and it was like, we went and raced out and got Nevermind, and then
Hmm.
we went straight to her house, sat in the room, put it on, shut the door, and we just listened to it on repeat, over and over and over,
Hmm.
and it was like this whole profound thing just happened where it was like the whole world changed.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird thing when you think about it, because I mean, if you weren't around at the time when it came out, and you're young and you're listening to this stuff later, like you can't imagine how revolutionary that it was, and
Yeah.
how it affected people in a way that previously other stuff hadn't yet, and that kind of had that thing. And then, and then of course I had my big goth side, so I was really into Joy Division, Sisters of
Mhm.
Mercy, The Cure. I love Jesus and Mary Chain.
Yeah, that's a
um
good band.
like um Depeche Mode, like just like all of that stuff. Like, I really loved all that stuff. And then of
Yeah.
course, I went into the hardcore phase, and you know, and then it was like listening to all this. I've always had an eclectic taste, and then but I know there was certain areas where I would have a mini phase of like going to shows, a lot of those kind of shows, or a lot of those kind of shows.
Yeah.
And now I'd say I go. Then I had like a bit of a metal phase where I go to a lot of metal shows, and then now I go to like all kinds of things, but a lot of cold wave, dark wave, new
Hmm.
stuff, and things like that. Like, but then there's always other bits that I can go back to, and I can remember how important those things were when I heard them, or when the
Yeah.
first time, like the very first, the first two tapes I ever had were Nevermind, I think, and Pearl Jam 10. And
Yeah.
the first CD I ever had was Alice in Chains, Jar of
Yeah.
Flies,
Yeah.
Sap EP.
Yeah.
And that record
So good, right?
just
There's yeah. The Alice in Chains was my band for a really long time.
I
Yeah, it's really great.
yeah,
They're
they're
really awesome.
incredible. And I'm sad I never got to see them when Lane was alive. And I saw them when they did the very first like
Reunion,
reunion.
whatever it
Yeah,
is. Yep.
yeah, but they
Yeah.
didn't have any new music. It was purely, they thought it was going to be a one-off
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I was like, I can't not see this. It's all the same guys. The singer's not going to be Lane. I'm aware of that.
Right.
But
Just
this is,
squint and it'll be fine. Yeah.
yeah, like this is my time to like have a, closure I guess, of this period of time that meant so much to me, you
Yeah,
know. And fuck, everyone was crying. I've never seen so many grown men crying, and
yeah.
like it was so intense. And they sang songs off Jar of Flies and Sap, like Jerry
Yeah,
sang them. And
yeah.
he would be like, dedicate it, look at the sky and fucking dedicate it to Lane, and then say all this shit, and everyone would just burst
And
into
it's
tears.
just killing it. He's like,
Yeah.
let's do my the part where I make everyone cry is shit.
And everyone's crying, like
I
fucking
was
everyone.
laughing
Everyone's
because then
crying and singing along, and
right now, just
like,
imagining some dude like just tears streaming down his face, and he's like, "I'm the man in the box. We're all the man in the box."
and this was like a huge festival, so you can imagine the crowd. So it was like there
Yeah,
were those kind of guys. But yeah, but everyone was just crying. It's like
I love it.
they like when
So
they
good.
play, especially playing things like Don't Follow and uh Nutshell and stuff like that were
Yeah.
really
Oh, Don't Follow is super
sad.
good. I gotta listen to that stuff again. I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
listened to that
just
in a
really
long time.
sad. And then Sap, of course, there's some really fucking, there's
Yeah.
Right Turn with him and Chris Cornell, which is
Hmm.
some
Yep.
amazing vocals together.
I also
Um,
bought that at Record Express in Manchester, which
mhm,
is pretty great. You know what record was kind of my it was like I was because I was in high school and I was already into hardcore and ska and all that stuff.
mhm.
The um the record that I would listen to at night. So it's like I would literally I would kind of like sneak the Walkman into my room at night or whatever because I wasn't supposed to have it and listen to
Mhm.
it on repeat, like just on repeat. And was remembering this the other day, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like that's where all this shit started. It's like I was listening to Tori Amos' "Little Earthquakes," like just
Don't get me
every night, over and over.
started.
And I was
Yeah.
just like in bed, like fucking hell. And it's such a good record to this day. Oh, it kills
Oh, I
me.
love
Every
it.
single song is awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
I have a thing. I just literally got Tori Amos's book, which is called Resistance, and it's kind
Mm.
of a biography,
Yeah, I saw that she just came out with a
autobiography.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And
cool.
I was obsessed with Tori Amos, like
Hmm.
obsessed. Yeah, and Little Earth, yeah, and then Boys for Peel was like very like
Yeah.
what,
She's
just
really fascinating. Like I find that whole period. So you think about there's a period where it's like Nirvana, Nine Inch Nails, Tori
hmm
Amos. These are all like massive music stars
hmm
around the same time
the
period.
time.
Yeah, Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, like all these bands are like legitimately kind of just really weird and just doing very different things. It was a really interesting time for music where I think it just felt like really serious kind of artistic kind of music is commercially viable, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
these are like massive stars and it's just such an interesting, it's so interesting to remember back to that because now it feels like music is so kind of spread out and balkanized and kind of everywhere. It's like everywhere, nowhere at once.
Yeah,
And,
exactly. Yeah.
so it's this very odd kind of thing. But yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia for that time period for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
same. I have I used to listen to, and no wonder I was depressed. But I used to listen, to like Nine Inch Nails' Pretty Hate Machine, and when I
Yeah.
used to be in the photography lab,
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
stay back late after school in the photography
Hmm.
lab, and I would put it on something I could never have, and I'd finish, and I'd press it again,
Just do
and I'd
this is
press
the
the
one.
same song, and I'd be
Yeah.
like,
So
oh,
I listened to that recently
I,
because I was driving down to Pennsylvania to like go see if I was going like my friends doing like a board game weekend or whatever. So I'm driving to the city and I hadn't listened to that record in a long time. And I put it on and like so one that fucking whole record kills so
it's
hard. It's
so
so
good,
good. I was like
so good.
moshing off the road like getting into car accidents and stuff.
And
Second
also
thing
the
I
like also the like like all
Well,
the
yeah.
electronics.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like the thing I didn't really remember about it. I was like, oh, it's almost like it's like a funky, almost kind of like
Yeah,
R&B kind of jam feel
yeah.
to it
It's
sometimes.
it's supposed
The
to have this
production is really fascinating.
yeah. There's like this industrial thing, but it's also
Yeah,
not industrial yet because it kind of isn't. So there's these weird like boop, 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 like
yeah.
weird
There's just a
computer
cowbell
game
going in the whole time. Yeah,
and like
it's
weird computer sounding like computer game sounding
right.
electro, in
Because it's
certain
like
parts.
you imagine like heroin Trent as like he's like all leather and he's so gaunt and stuff, but the music is just kind of like it's like yeah
Yeah, exactly.
well,
You want to, yeah, exactly.
it's
That's
surprisingly
exactly
fun.
what you want to do. You want to be
Yeah,
like, move your head
yeah, and
around.
it's real sassy. It's so sassy. So it just
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
super fun, and
And
I just like
it was when he wore like those long daggy singlets, and he had like kind
ugh,
of dreads,
yeah,
and then of
yeah,
course by the next album it was leather Trent,
yeah,
he'd
yeah.
found his thing, and
You
he'd
found his
found
people,
and
found his
and
people, and it's
he
fine.
found the
Yeah,
sound like he
yeah.
evolved the into
Yeah.
more of a like industrial thing. Um,
Yeah,
but
he's a big influence on me because I too am trying to go through like a really depressive phase into a phase where I get real jacked. That's like
but
my next
that's
career
what
phase is
that
like real
album is
strong.
isn't it? I find it that album is like quite depressing and quite like whiny, like girl did this to me, man. And but
Pretty
it's
Hate
also
Machine?
like, but it's also really happy. Like it's also like you can get down and
It's a
dance,
dance
you know.
record, right?
But it's
You can
yeah,
tell that's what he wants to happen,
yeah.
but yeah, but he's kind of just a pathetic
But
sack of
the
shit the whole
lyrics are
time.
really sad. But the lyrics are really like depressing and sad, and I love
Yeah,
that. I love it
yeah.
when people can fuck with that. When people, if the same as a Cure, if you can make a
Hmm.
dance song that's so miserable, but it's actually
Yeah,
enjoyable, it's like you've done something right there.
yeah.
It's like you can listen to the song that's so miserable, but you're also like, yeah, like at the same time, and it's
Well,
like,
it's
yeah, it's a great thing.
everybody can relate to
Mm,
feeling down, right? It's like not
yeah,
everyone can relate to like everything fucking rules. Like not
yeah,
everyone can
exactly.
to
No,
relate to that.
no,
But
no.
even if things are great, you can remember, right, when
When
things
something
are
is shit.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's
yeah, yeah.
something you can do. Yeah, and yeah, like someone was mentioning Smashing Pumpkins. I was gonna say Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream is one of my favorite all-time albums. I
That's a
think
fantastic record.
the best Smashing Pumpkins album they've ever done, I believe. And
Mm,
every single song on it is brilliant. Like you don't want
yeah,
to skip a single song. Like it's
yeah,
you know when you find an album where there's not one song you kind of like, oh, I could skip this.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's a good album. And that album just it
Because
resonates and works no matter when. Like I can listen to it any day, like years and years apart, and still resonates with me. And I still get the exact same feeling that
hmm
of when I listen to it. I think
yeah,
that's that's powerful music.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
you just like, whoa, that sort of stuff. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. It's not the same now. It's not the similar. There's nothing similar in that sense of how music was then. It was this kind of,
Yeah, it was a unique situation in terms of having the engines of capitalism at your back when you're like, I want to release a weird ass fuzzy record of,
hmm
lullabies or whatever. But we're kind of blessed to live in a time where it's so easy to make music and there's so much music and it's
yeah,
hard for
like
me not to feel like that's a good overall, but
yeah. Well,
yeah.
it's like we've got this DIY, thing now where anyone can do it, and like, it's like, whoa, so many people have access to music they didn't before, and
Mm,
so many people have access to making music they didn't before. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's come with positives as well,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but there's always people going to be our age that are going to have a whinge every now and again about the good old days, just like the
It's the way it
generations,
is.
just
It's
like
the
the
way it
generations,
is.
above
It,
us.
I get to, it's fun because I get to think about it. It's like, our kids, when we expose them to music, like what they
Mm-hmm.
kind of hear in the house, and,
Mm-hmm.
they hear a lot, it's like, I remember we were talking about New Order or whatever. And I remember a couple weeks ago, I played Blue Monday on the stereo, and I came into I was doing dishes or whatever. And I came into the room, and both of my kids are they're in their underwear because that's basically what they wear all the time. So
Yeah.
they're just dancing this like weird kind of, I don't know what dance it is, but they're just dancing that they're going so hard. They're just going real hard. They are just into it. And it's like,
Mm.
it was such a fun kind of ridiculous moment. And I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, this is their oldies. Like, this is what they associate with me. And
Yeah.
that's
And that's
just
what
cool,
they're
man. I
gonna
think it's cool.
remember. When
Yeah.
they're 20, 30, they don't go back and, oh, my dad played loads of this and this, and 'cause that's what
Yeah.
I do. I'm like, oh, my dad fucking played Pink Floyd all the time,
Hmm.
and like, so I really like. I have this thing for Pink Floyd. He played
Yeah.
AC/DC all the time. Granted, I'm Australian, so I already like them, but I still,
Right.
like them.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen, Fleetwood Mac, and like, he and Alice Cooper, and like all of these things. I still have an
Yeah.
incredibly fond thing for them
Yeah.
because that's what Dad played on the stereo, and
Yeah.
like. I remember driving in the car listening to Paint It Black and thinking it was the best song ever. And like, I
Right.
was so badass and this is the coolest. And
Yeah.
that's what your kids are gonna remember. And I think that's really cool. Like, that you think about it, like, they're gonna be like, yeah, my dad used to play a lot of this and this, and so that's kind of why I'm like
Yeah.
this, and it's cool. It's a cool
Yeah.
thing.
It's a lot of the Pokemon theme song in our house. A lot of the Pokemon theme song, some New Order sprinkled in there. And yeah, it's interesting. Like it's fun to kind of, I think we consciously kind of, like my wife the other day was playing a lot of like Destiny's Child, and I was like, this is her kind of deliberately being like, I'm just gonna drop this in
Yeah,
here
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
just do with it what you will. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, there's a lot of good advice in these songs. Like, you really shouldn't go chasing waterfalls. It's not a good idea. Stuff like that. But it's
Oh,
it
that's not Destiny's Child.
oh, is it not? Who gives a
No.
shit? I don't care.
Same shit,
don't
same shit.
I don't like that band.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. Same
TLC?
shit.
That's TLC.
TLC.
It's TLC. Whatever.
TLC.
Yeah. It's fine.
But yeah,
But
don't go chasing
it
waterfalls.
wasn't my scene. I missed that. I missed the
Stick
boat
to
on
the
that shit.
lakes and the rivers that you used to, Dan.
I know. See, it's so deep, so deep. And then it kind of like, but it's also funny because we have like an Alexa, right, they play a lot of music through, and they've learned how to interact with it. And
Oh,
so they
cool.
ask it for all sorts of shit, and it never understands what they're talking about. So it gives them these like weird selections that they then decide that they like. And so there's this like, I honestly don't know where it's from, but it's like they must have been asking like, play the Pikachu song or the Pokemon song or whatever, and it's like this deep house. It sounds like it's like from Romania, like this deep
Yeah,
house
yeah.
song that I think came out at the height of the Pokemon Go craze,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
called Pokemon Go, and it is terrible, and it is like 15 minutes long.
Oh
And they
no.
love it. They're so deep into it, like this just deep, like, like bass thumping club banger
Yeah, like
that's
full
called
on. Yeah.
Pokemon Go, and it has Pikachu sounds in it, like all this shit. And I'm like, this song is not official. This was not licensed by the Pokemon company.
No,
Like,
no.
give me a break.
This is some
Um,
DJ like putting together something, and playing it at
yeah,
beta
just
or something.
yeah, for SEO purposes, I'm just going to call this, whatever. But but it's really fun to watch them develop some kind of musical sense of the world, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, so it's I'm enjoying that part of it. But
It'll be
I've been
interesting
thinking
when they're
like,
older, how they'll go back and
yeah,
they
yeah.
when they're older and you go, hey, someone says, hey, listen to Dad,
Hey,
and that'll
well,
be
the
weird.
both of my kids are like both of my kids are like, both of my kids are like, they're like, lately they've been like, well, when I grow up, I want to be a
Whoop, it's going a bit funny. I think your battery's probably